Alright, welcome back to Dirty Dan's Garage. Today we're going to be talking about carb swapping an F150. As you can see here, we got a beautiful 94 F150 that I've already done a carb swap on, and as you know, we've already done a video on this, but this is an update because I've changed quite a bit since the last one. Alright, let's get under the hood. Chickens. Mustang. Oh. That's our LX5 over there. Alright. Well, let's get under the hood of this thing so we can talk about the carb swap on it. Alright, so if you all watched our last video, you'll notice that quite a few things have changed. Like this distributor, I went from the cheap eBay distributor I had actually broke. It's like one of the big like coil on top HEIs. It was only like, I think it was like 40 or 50 bucks off of eBay. So then I got a more expensive eBay distributor. This one's made by, I think the company's TSB, but we got one for the Mustang as well, but it wasn't by the same brand. So, but this one's just like an electronic ignition. It's got a the vacuum advance, and this one's got like an older school oil-filled coil on it. As for like our Mustang one, doesn't have the big oil-filled. It's got like the standard small coil. But I just kind of like the way. I know I can get these at the auto store like anywhere pretty much. So I went with that one, and I went to an older Holley carburetor. I don't know how old this thing actually is, but it looks old. I don't know. It's a 600 CFM vacuum secondary, as you can see there. Sorry if the engine bay looks a little crusty. This is my daily driver, so it doesn't get the love like the Mustang gets. So I went to that because I had a 600 CFM Slayer, like the quick fuel technology style, but that carb I got it secondhand off Facebook Marketplace, and the guys before us looked like they were trying to make it like a mechanical secondary somehow, and that thing was just junk. Like, I don't know, I just could not get it to work. It probably needed some serious jetting or something, but it just would not work. So then I got this for like, I think I got it for like 50 bucks or 40 bucks off of eBay. Uh-oh, there's a cat trying to attack my chickens. Hey, you rascal. Sorry about that. I had to go fend off a cat that was trying to get the chickens. Anyways, so yeah, so I went with this carburetor, and this one's been working really good. It's just a mechanical choke. I mean, I should probably put something in there to keep it from snapping shut, but it hasn't snapped shut on me or anything, so I just leave it be. And I don't use the choke. I mean, it doesn't need it. I'm in Florida, so it just starts up because it's never really super cold here. And another thing I did compared to the old setup that's new now is I used to have a Holley return regulator back there because I was running the stock fuel pumps in the stock dual tanks. But I couldn't really find a good regulator to handle the pressure from those pumps, and this one would let it slip by, and it just did not work good. And I took it on a road trip to pick up this Mini Cooper actually, and on the way back I ended up the gauge on the pressure gauge I had on the regulator blew out, so then I took that off, and then the regulator is letting too much pressure slip past, and it popped one of these like high pressure fuel injection rubber lines. So, and it just caused a lot of trouble on the way back. So I ended up deleting that, and I went to the single fuel line here, and I adapted it from the Ford. I used one of the original Ford hard lines like all the way back, and I adapted it from their quick disconnect to a barb. And then I attached it, with this short rubber line to the carburetor here. And then in the back of the truck, I did I got rid of the front tank, and I went to the like 32 or 38 gallon Bronco tank, and I went to you're not gonna be able to really see it very well, but I got a Holley Mighty Mite like clicker pump in there. That little silver thing's a little inlet filter for it. I have it bolted to the frame with a rubber isolator right there. And it's just a one-way line. I haven't had any issue with vapor locking here in Florida, so I think my big engine bay is saving me there. But it works really good. I mean, it's my daily driver, and I go, my average commute's like 60 miles, and it just gets it done. Although I think I might need a bigger air cleaner. I don't know. Leave a comment. I'm not really too sure how much this really affects it. This is like I can't remember if this is like a 12 or a 14-inch air cleaner. And let me know about like vacuum secondaries. This truck's a manual transmission, and I feel like I get like some weirdities with the vacuum secondary with the manual transmission. I don't know if I should be running a double pumper, but I was kind of trying to get a little bit of fuel economy out of it, because when it was fuel injected it got like 10 to 12, and well, now it gets like 10 to 12, although occasionally I'll get like 15 out of nowhere. So I don't know if it's just kind of like some kind of weird happenstance with that. So, oh yeah, and how I have the fuel pump wired, I'm using the stock fuel pump wiring, but the stock Ford fuel relay has they're ground activated by a ground, so the computer will prime the pump, but it won't keep it running because it doesn't get an engine detection signal. So I have it I just have a ground supplied to it, so that way when I turn the key in the truck, it turns on the relay. I'm sure that's not the best way to do it, but it's been working for like a year now, so that hasn't changed. I've had that set up that same way since I had the original fuel pumps. And we can go inside the truck here, and I'll show you. I still have the tank switch, and I just have it wired to the rear tanks. I don't have a front tank anymore, so I don't switch to that. So, and as I said, this truck's a manual swap, so I didn't keep the original, the automatic transmission when I went to the fuel or carburation. Although I manual swapped it before, and honestly, that is the reason for for carb swapping it, because it was fuel injected, and then the auto trans was going out, so I manual swapped it, and the auto computer did not like it, and you have to do a lot of rewiring to put a manual computer in it. And I was like, that's not really worth it to me, and I don't really like the way the carburation, or the fuel injected manifold looks and everything, so you can't get to this valve cover or anything. And I was like, I'll just go carbureted, since, I already got a manual transmission, and all it's going to do is make my engine bay simpler, pretty much. So, just went the carburation route, and it was, in my opinion, it's well worth it. If you get like a Sniper or something and put it in there, it'd be like, you just be top of the world probably in just drivability. But I am fine with, all my motorcycles always been carbureted, so I'm fine with, the way it is, just carburation is. So yeah, that's my main reason for going fuel and going from carburation, or going from fuel injection to carburation, I should say. Because, well, I guess I should say the main reason was because with the manual transmission, the automatic computer would get a really bad stutter because it wasn't getting a load input, I think, from the transmission. I had to do a lot of form hunting to figure out why it was doing what it was doing. So yeah, I mean, overall, I'm really happy with it. This setup has been the best so far. So, although, I don't know, some people might have different luck with this setup, like a one-way line. So far, I haven't had any vapor locking issues, but I also have a big engine bay. So, an alternative is, like on our Mustang, we did I think it's an 87 in-tank Bronco pump. They have like a lift pump that lifts to a high-pressure pump. And their little lift pump puts out like a perfect like 7 psi, I think. So you barely even have to run a regulator, but you can run the Holley's return regulator. That way you get some fresh fuel supply flowing up by your carburetor. So that's what we did on the Mustang, and it seems to work pretty good. So feel free to leave a comment. Ask any questions y'all want about how I did it, and I'll do my best of my ability to help y'all out and answer y'all. And please leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this, and we'll see you in the next one. Olé.